Last few days I've gotten a lot of messages because I've been doing a lot of this Icelandic stuff. I've gotten a lot of messages from people that are seeing the end of this pandemic, and they were asking me what are the places that I would definitely go to if I were in Iceland. Now, these are just like 5 places, 5 things to do basically. This is definitely not the only places that you would like to visit, but these are the places that you would like. Pick a couple of these and plan your trip around these places. Number 5, Jökulsárlón. Jökulsárlón has been one of the more popular tourist destinations in Iceland. Jökulsárlón is basically a glacier lagoon where the break-offs from the glacier are occurring. So it's like a water lagoon with a big ice chunks in them. Now, this lagoon, we have a lot of these lagoons around Iceland, but this lagoon is especially special because of how it's located and how it interacts with other things around it. So Jökulsárlón goes underneath the bridge on the main ring road and is connected to the sea. That means basically that the sea is flowing into the glacier lagoon as well, and the salt water makes it so that the ice breaks off, or the ice chunks that are in the lagoon are melting a lot faster, so you can see a lot more movement. These ice chunks then make their way underneath the bridge, go out to sea, and usually they come back to shore, and that's where Diamond Beach is located. So it's basically two in one. So on Diamond Beach on good days, especially in the winter, you'll see that the beach is filled with big ice chunks from the glacier, and you can take one home with you or do whatever you want. Take some cool pictures on the Diamond Beach. You might also be lucky and see some seals playing on the icebergs or swimming around them, and they would be fairly close to where you are located and watching the lagoon. Number 4 on this list is going to be Vestmannaeyjar. Vestmannaeyjar is like a class of islands just outside of the south coast, as well on the ring road. This is, for example, a perfect place if you want to see some puffins and beautiful landscapes. Now, you would either park where the boat is picking you up. It's like a 1.5-2 hours drive from Reykjavik, and you just basically drive on the ring road. You can buy 2 types of tickets. It's either just a ticket to the island, but you can also buy a ticket with a car included, so you can drive your car into the ferry and take your car onto the island so you can drive around. Now, this is a small enough island so you can walk, but if you want to see everything, it's probably best, and if you're camping, it's probably best if you take your car. It isn't that much more expensive. The ferry roughly takes around 30 minutes to get to Heimaey, which is like the main island, and that's where all the people live. Now, this is an island that's built on a volcano, an active volcano, and that volcano actually erupted a few years back, or a few years, I think it's probably around 50, don't quote me on this. I'll put some pictures on the screen.
At 1:55 on the morning of January the 23rd, 1973, 10 years after Surtsey emerged, Iceland was subject to one of the most famous eruptions of modern times, when, after lying dormant for at least 5,000 years, a volcano on Heimaey, a small island 6 miles off Iceland's south coast, burst into life, threatening the lives of everyone in its shadow.
And in that situation, everyone on the island needed to be evacuated. Now, a lot of Icelandic people go there at least once a year, and that's for a festival called Þjóðhátíð, which is like almost like a national festival, if that makes sense. Everyone has a day off at work and the weekend as well. People go there and party and stay camping, like we have over, I think, I would say 20,000 people go there every year. But there are a lot of things you can do on that island. You can camp, there are restaurants, this is basically like just a mini city. And you can go hike up the volcano. You can go on a boat ride, like a boat safari into some of the caves around there, see some puffins. It's a beautiful island, and I would say if you have the day to spend it, I would spend it at islands, because you're also not going too much out of the way. You're just basically spending one day on a campsite. Hot springs and hot tubs and swimming pools and more. This one is fairly open, and there are kind of like, I would say you'd at least need to go to one of these while you're here. If it's just to relax or enjoy, you have like 3 options. We have swimming pools, which are located in all cities, all towns basically, and you can swim there in warm water or heated up water. And all of these swimming pools have hot tubs. This is basically the cheap option. Then you can go to like a fancy tourist swimming pool. These include like private quarters or private showers. On the other swimming pools, you all shower together. These places are like Blue Lagoon, Sky Lagoon, Vög baths, Mývatn baths. But the third option would be to go to one of the nature's hot springs, where basically minimal things are built around it. These are hot tubs and hot springs that are basically built by nature, and you will definitely not have the same luxury. You don't have the option of taking a shower afterwards, or you don't have the option of having a private changing room, like everyone is changing at the same place. But this one is, I would say, a better experience, and if you're into nature, then this one is definitely the one that you would want to pick. Number 2, Dynjandi is one of the more beautiful waterfalls that I have seen in my life. The waterfall is located on the Westfjords, but I would like to mention that the road leading up to the waterfall is not that great, and if you're going to Dynjandi, you're probably going to be exploring more of the Westfjords, and going to Westfjords without a 4x4 can be risky. It's fine, but it's always better to have that 4x4 if you get stuck, because the roads on the Westfjords are poor, to say the least. Number 1, I think this is no surprise at this time that I'm putting this at number 1. It's also one of the more accessible locations, and that's going to the volcano in Fagradalsfjall, where in Geldingadalir they have like the most tourist-friendly volcanic eruption of our time. You can basically walk for 1.5 hours and sit next to a volcano that's blowing up magma and lava in the sky. You can feel the warmth coming from the air, and everything is completely safe-ish. It's a volcano. It's as safe as it can be, but you never know what will happen. This volcano has been spreading around a bit. It might move. They are talking about like this could be another volcanic era on the Reykjanes, and that could mean that the volcano would move closer to the capital. But as we say, we don't know anything. This volcano could stop blowing today. It could go on for 5 more years, century, or whatever. Like, no one knows, because the magma is coming from so deep within. One thing to mention as well, I'm going to be doing later this week, I'm going to be doing a complete video on the volcano, and this video will cover all the basics, what you need, how the trip is, more info about the volcano itself, like what's going on, what's happening, and basically all the research that has been done. So I'll try to put that in like a nice little video. In the end, I'm going to say some couple of things that probably good to keep in mind when visiting Iceland. It's always better to be overdressed. When people say that, they're asking me, is this fine? Will I be cold? Or do I need something warmer? Weather in Iceland is very unpredictable, and it's often more cold than you think. Even though it's great outside, when you walk outside the door, it usually gets a bit colder by the day. So what I always say is it's better to be overdressed, be warm, be able to take clothes off and have them, instead of taking too few clothes with you, being cold and having none to put on, because it's always better to be warm than to be cold. I want to thank you for all the support that I've gotten in the last couple of weeks. Take it easy.